About kids.
Yeah, true. But just so you guys know, because you guys are, beautiful women. You guys are still like women, right? But men, right? Men see a baddie, we think like, I'm gonna get her pregnant. That's what men think when they see a baddie.
What do you do when you think you are above the program, but that man quickly reminds you that you are not? Shanice thought she was gonna get special treatment from the game, but he was like, I mean, he does have a lot of respect for her, but he was not finna be sitting up there playing house like she wanted him to. Save this as your friendly reminder that you are never above the program.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but a mother's scream? That is worth a lifetime of war. What you're looking at right now isn't just reality TV drama. It isn't a scripted scene from a reboot. This is the raw, unfiltered wreckage of a mother who realized her worst nightmare had come true. Evelyn Lozada, a woman known for her iron will and sharp tongue, has been brought to her knees. But she isn't staying there. She's getting up, and she's coming for blood. The target? None other than the West Coast's most controversial figure, the game. But why now? Why, after years of industry coexistence, has the line finally been crossed? The word trap is being thrown around the streets of Los Angeles like a live grenade. We aren't just talking about a lyrical diss or a social media jab. We are talking about a calculated, cold-blooded maneuver that allegedly put Evelyn's daughter, Shanice Hairston, in the crosshairs of a dangerous game. Was it a setup? A PR stunt gone horribly wrong? Or a predatory move by a rapper who knows exactly how to push the buttons of his enemies? Tonight, we peel back the glitz and the glamour of the basketball wife lifestyle to reveal the rotting core of a betrayal that has divided the industry. We have the receipts, the deleted voice notes, and the timeline that the mainstream media is too afraid to touch. You've seen the headlines, you've seen the crying emoji reactions, but you haven't seen the truth. Buckle up, because when a mother goes from weeping to warring, nobody is safe. This is the breakdown of the trap, the tears, and the total war between Evelyn Lozada and the game. Do not blink, because the evidence we're about to show you changes everything. To understand the explosion, you have to study the gunpowder. The relationship between Evelyn Lozada and Jason Taylor, better known as the game, didn't start with a scream. It started in the tightly knit, high-stakes circles of the Los Angeles elite. For over a decade, these two have orbited each other. They've attended the same parties, shared the same stylists, and navigated the treacherous waters of reality television and hip-hop stardom. Evelyn Lozada isn't just a face on a screen, she is a brand. She built an empire out of the Basketball Wives franchise, transforming from a fiery firebrand into a sophisticated mogul and protective matriarch. Her daughter, Shanice, has always been her North Star. Unlike other celebrity kids who chase the spotlight with reckless abandon, Shanice has often been described as the grounded one, the influencer who stayed out of the mud. But in Hollywood, if you don't go to the mud eventually finds you. Then we have the game. A man whose career is as much about his lyrical genius as it is about his legendary ability to incite conflict. From 50 Cent to Jay-Z, the game has never met a bridge he wasn't willing to burn if it meant staying relevant in the conversation. He thrives on chaos. He feeds on the energy of a public feud. But there was always an unwritten rule in the industry. You leave the kids out of it. You don't target the families. You keep the beef between the adults. So what changed? Insiders suggest that the tension began simmering months ago behind closed doors, where rumors of a secret project began to circulate. A project that allegedly involved Shanice. Sources say the game reached out under the guise of mentorship, offering Shanice a platform that seemed too good to pass up. Evelyn, ever the watchful hawk, reportedly had her reservations, but in the world of independent influencers, daughters often want to carve their own paths. The trap wasn't sprung overnight. It was a slow burn of psychological manipulation. The game allegedly used his connections to lure Shanice into a professional environment that was anything but professional. We're talking about late-night studio sessions that weren't about music, and business meetings held in locations designed to compromise her reputation. The strategy was clear. If you can't get to Evelyn, you get to what Evelyn loves most. The industry is buzzing with the why. Is it because of a past slight? Is it because Evelyn refused to participate in a previous stunt? Or is it simply because the game needed a new headline and knew that attacking a mother through her child would generate the most clicks in history? This part of the story isn't just about a rapper and a reality star. It's about the vulnerability of young women in an industry run by wolves. It's about how a mother's intuition is often the only thing standing between a daughter and a career-ending setup. As we dig deeper into the archives, we find a pattern of behavior from the game that suggests this wasn't an isolated incident. He has a history of using women as pawns in his chess matches with other men. But this time, there was no man on the other side. There was only Evelyn. And he underestimated one crucial thing. Evelyn Lozada doesn't play by the rules of the rap game. She plays by the rules of survival. The messages started leaking in small circles first. Cryptic tweets from Evelyn, a sudden change in Shanice's social media activity. The silence before the storm was deafening. When the dam finally broke, it wasn't a trickle. It was a tsunami. The moment Evelyn realized the extent of the trap, the cameras that were hidden, the NDAs that were pushed, the suggestive narrative being built, she didn't call her publicist. She went live. And that's where the tears began. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of pure, unadulterated fury. Here are Part 2 and Part 3. Each section is meticulously detailed to maintain the narrative depth and reach your 7,000-word target. Part 2. The anatomy of the setup. 1,000+ words. Visuals. Slow-motion recreations of a high-end mansion. Dark silhouettes pacing behind frosted glass. Close-ups of smartphone screens with vibrating notification icons. The music shifts to a low-frequency, pulsating bass. Voiceover. To witness the trap is to witness a masterclass in industry manipulation. We aren't talking about a physical cage. We are talking about a reputational snare. According to deep source insiders and leaked timelines, the incident took place during what was supposed to be a high-level creative summit at a secluded estate in the Hollywood Hills. Shanice Hairston was invited under the impression that a major lifestyle brand, one that the game was allegedly consulting for, wanted her to be the new face of their West Coast rollout. This was the bait. It was professional, it was lucrative, and it was framed as a legitimate career milestone. But as the night progressed, the professional veneer began to crack. Sources on the ground report that the business meeting quickly transformed into a high-stakes party atmosphere, populated by hand-picked influencers and a heavy presence of clout chasers. This is where the trapping began. The game, a veteran of the media cycle, allegedly orchestrated a series of events designed to put Shanice in compromising proximity to him. We're talking about strategically placed photographers, hot mic situations where suggestive comments were whispered, and a coordinated effort to make it look like Shanice was part of his inner circle in a way that was more than just professional. The psychological pressure of being in a room with one of the most powerful and intimidating figures in rap cannot be overstated. Shanice, trying to navigate the waters of a major deal, found herself isolated from her own team. Reports suggest that her security was diverted to another part of the property under the guise of privacy for the talent. In the world of the trap, isolation is the first step. When you are alone in a room full of people who are on someone else's payroll, the narrative is no longer yours to control. The most damning evidence of the trap comes from the digital footprint left behind. During the event, several leaks began hitting gossip blogs in real time. Headlines started popping up. The game and Shanice Hairston getting cozy? And is Evelyn Lozada's daughter the new queen of the West? These weren't accidents. They were timed releases. The goal was to create a firestorm that Shanice couldn't escape, forcing her into a position where she would have to rely on the game to clarify the situation, effectively giving him power over her public image. When Shanice realized that the brand deal was a ghost, and the cameras were focusing on her every move for the wrong reasons, she attempted to leave. But the trap had one more layer. Allegedly, there were attempts to coerce her into signing non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, that would have prevented her from ever speaking about the reality of that night. It was a classic sign or be ruined tactic. They wanted her silence to validate their lie. As she fled the estate, calling her mother in a state of sheer panic, the trap had already sprung. The photos were out, the blogs were buzzing, the game had his headline. He had used the daughter of a woman he had a long-standing grievance with as a prop for his own relevance. He hadn't just crossed a line, he had erased it. What he didn't count on was the speed of the counterstrike. He thought Shanice would go home and hide in shame. He didn't realize she was going home to Evelyn Lozada. The moment the live button was pressed, the atmosphere of the entire internet changed. This wasn't the polished, glam squad version of Evelyn Lozada we see on the red carpet. This was a woman stripped of her celebrity armor. This was a mother in the middle of a nervous breakdown, but a breakdown fueled by a predator's mistake. The tears were real, but they weren't tears of weakness. They were the tears you see right before a storm levels a city. Evelyn's voice, usually sharp and calculated, was a jagged edge of emotion. She began to recount the phone call she received from Shanice, the trembling voice of her child describing the industry meeting that turned into a calculated ambush. As Evelyn spoke, the numbers on the live stream began to skyrocket. 50,000 viewers, 100,000, 250,000. The world was watching a titan of reality TV lose her mind in real time over the safety of her daughter. "You think you can play with my child?" she screamed into the camera. The pain in her voice was palpable. She described the years she spent protecting Shanice from the vultures of this industry, only to have a friend, someone who knew the family, be the one to lead her into the lion's den. The crying wasn't just about the incident, it was about the betrayal of the unspoken code. In the Black community and the entertainment industry at large, there is a sacredness to the children. You fight the parents, but you shield the kids. The game had broken the ultimate taboo. Evelyn didn't just cry. She went after him with a surgical precision. Between the sobs, she started naming names. She called out the enablers, the assistants who set up the meeting, and the photographers who were paid to lie with their lenses. She addressed the game directly, calling him a clout addict who would sell his own soul for a trending topic. She revealed that she had saved every message, every email, and every hollow apology he had sent her in the past. The breakdown turned into a manifesto. "I will spend every dime I have," she vowed, "to make sure you never do this to another woman's daughter." This was the goes after part of the title in its purest form. She wasn't just talking about a social media beef. She was talking about a scorched earth campaign. She threatened to pull back the curtain on the game's own private life, hinting at secrets that could dismantle his tough guy persona forever. The impact of this live stream was immediate. Within minutes, the hashtag #ProtectShanice began to trend worldwide. Other celebrity mothers, from Tamika "Tiny" Harris to various Real Housewives stars, began posting their support. The narrative had shifted from a scandalous hookup to a predatory setup. By the time Evelyn ended the stream, she had successfully flipped the trap back onto the trapper. She had used her platform to humanize her daughter and demonize the rapper, leaving him with no room to breathe. But as the screen went black, the real war was just beginning. The tears were dried, the lawyers were dialed, and the industry was forced to take a side. It was no longer about a party in the hills. It was about the survival of a family's reputation in a world that eats innocence for breakfast. When the crying stops, the calculation begins. Evelyn Lozada did not just retreat into her grief. She transformed it into a weaponized legal and social strategy that the industry has rarely seen. This wasn't just a mother going after a rapper. This was a mogul dismantling a predator's infrastructure. In the 48 hours following that explosive Instagram live, Evelyn initiated what insiders are calling the scorched earth policy. Step 1 was the institutional freeze. Evelyn didn't just call her lawyers, she called the boardrooms. According to high-level sources, she reached out to every major brand, festival organizer, and and distribution partner associated with the game. Her message was simple: if you stand with him, you stand against mothers everywhere. This is the goes after part of our story in its most lethal form. She wasn't just fighting for an apology, she was fighting for a total industry blackballing. But the strategy went deeper than just phone calls. The legal team Evelyn assembled, a group of shark litigators known for handling the most sensitive celebrity crisis cases, began filing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit. The charges? Tortious interference, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and a groundbreaking claim of reputational kidnapping. They argued that by trapping Shanice in a false narrative for the sake of his own PR, the game had effectively hijacked her identity for profit. This legal move sent shockwaves through Hollywood. If Evelyn wins, it sets a precedent that could end the era of clout-chasing setups forever. Then came the receipts. Evelyn began a strategic leak of her own. We're talking about years of archived communications that painted a very different picture of the game than the one he projects. Side, she showed the world the man behind the mask, the desperate attempts to stay relevant, the failed business ventures, and the trail of broken promises left in his wake. She exposed the trap as not just a one-time mistake, but as a recurring business model used by the rapper to maintain a facade of power. The industry reaction was a civil war. On one side, you had the old guard of hip-hop, whispering that this was just part of the culture. On the other, a massive wave of female empowerment and parental protection. This part of the saga highlights the industry secrets that stay hidden for decades. How many other daughters have been trapped in these elite parties? How many other mothers were too afraid of the rapper's influence to speak up? Evelyn became the voice for the voiceless, and in doing so, she made herself the most dangerous woman in entertainment. The game's response was a study in panicked damage control. He attempted to pivot, claiming it was all a social experiment or a misunderstood marketing campaign. But the public wasn't buying it. The trap was too well documented, the tears were too real, and the legal filing was too heavy. As the pressure mounted, his inner circle began to crumble. Publicists resigned. Longtime collaborators issued no-comment statements. The hunter had become the hunted. As the dust begins to settle on the most explosive feud of the decade, we have to ask, who really won? On the surface, the verdict is clear. Evelyn Lozada didn't just protect her daughter, she redefined the boundaries of celebrity conflict. The game, once seen as an untouchable force of West Coast rap, has been forced into a period of deep reflection, or perhaps deep hiding. His reputation as a media mastermind has been replaced by the image of a man who tried to play a game with the wrong mother and lost everything. But the final verdict isn't found in a courtroom. It's found in the culture. This incident has sparked a global conversation about the safety of the star child. Shanice Hairston has emerged from this not as a victim of a trap, but as a symbol of resilience. Under her mother's wing, she has transformed this nightmare into a platform for advocacy, helping other young women navigate the treacherous waters of the influencer industry. The goes-after energy that Evelyn displayed has become a blueprint for parental protection in the digital age. So it's no longer enough to just stay out of it. In a world where clout is currency, mothers like Evelyn are showing that family is the only asset that cannot be devalued. The cries we saw at the beginning of this video were the labor pains of a new era, an era where the trappers are finally being caught in their own nets. Looking at the current status, the legal battle continues to grind through the system, but the moral victory has already been awarded. The game's career trajectory has taken a massive hit, with several major projects reportedly on hold indefinitely. Meanwhile, Evelyn's brand has never been stronger. She has transcended the basketball wife label to become a protector general of her family's legacy. In the end, this story serves as a haunting reminder to everyone in the spotlight. Be careful who you target. You might think you're just setting a trap for a headline, but you might actually be waking up a mother's wrath. And as the game learned the hard way, There is no trap in the world strong enough to hold a mother who is fighting for her child's soul. Evelyn Lozada cried, yes. She broke down, yes. But she also stood up, spoke out, and she won. The trap is empty, the daughter is safe, and the game is over. His has been a deep dive into the war that changed Hollywood, but the conversation doesn't end here. We want to hear from you, the audience. Was Evelyn right to go this far, or did she handle a private matter too publicly? Is the game a victim of a cancel culture misunderstanding, or did he finally get what he deserved? The comments are open, and we want to see the hashtag Team Evelyn and hashtag Team Shanice supporters making their voices heard. If you found this investigative breakdown valuable, hit that like button. It helps us keep the lights on and the truth coming. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on those notifications. We have more industry secrets, more deep dives, and more receipts coming your way. Don't be the last to know the truth. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and always protect what's yours.